Daksha's wife was named Asikli, and Asikli gave birth to 5,000 sons. They were known as the Haryashvas. The Haryashvas were destined to rule over the world, but the sage Narada went to the Haryashvas and said, "How can you rule over the world if you don't even know what the world looks like? Are you familiar with its geography and its limits? First, find out about these things before you contemplate ruling over the world." The Haryashvas went off to explore the world and never returned. Daksha and Asikli then had another 1,000 sons who were named the Shavalashvas. Narada told them what he had told the Haryashvas, and the Shavalashvas also went off to explore the world and never returned. Daksha and Asikli were distressed that their children should disappear in this manner. Daksha blamed Narada for the instigation and proposed to kill him, but Brahma intervened and persuaded Daksha to control his anger. This Daksha agreed to do, provided that his conditions were met. "Brahma must marry my daughter Priya," he said, "and Narada must be born as Priya's son." These conditions were accepted. In fact, Daksha and Asikli had 60 daughters. Elsewhere, the Brahma Purana mentions 50 daughters. 10 of these daughters were married to the god Dharma, and 13 to the sage Kashyapa. 27 daughters were married to Soma or Chandra. The remaining daughters were married to the sages Arishtanemi, Vahuputra, Anjarasa, and Krishashva. The 10 daughters who were married to the god Dharma were named Arundhati, Vasu, Yami, Lamba, Banu, Marutvati, Sankalpa, Muhurta, Sadhya, and Vishva. Arundhati's children were the objects, Vishaya, of the world. Vasu's children were the 8 gods known as the Vasus. Their names were Appa, Dhruva, Soma, Dara, Salila, Anala, Pratyusha, and Prabhasa. Anala's son was Kumara. Because Kumara was brought up by goddesses known as the Kritikas, he came to be called Kartikeya. Prabhasa's son was Vishvakarma. Vishvakarma was skilled in architecture and the making of jewelry. He became the architect of the gods. Sadhya's children were the gods known as Sadyadevas, and Vishva's children were the gods known as Vishvadevas. The 27 daughters of Daksha who were married to Soma are known as the Nakshatras, stars. As you have already been told, Kashyapa married 13 of Daksha's daughters. Their names were Aditi, Diti, Danu, Arishta, Surasa, Kasa, Surabi, Vinata, Tamra, Krodavasha, Ila, Kadru, and Muni. Aditi's sons were the 12 gods known as the Adityas. Their names were Vishnu, Shakra, Aryama, Datta, Vidata, Tavashta, Pusha, Vivasvana, Savita, Mitra, Varuna, Amsha, and Bhaga. Diti's sons were the Daityas, demons. They were named Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, and amongst their descendants were several other powerful Daityas like Bali and Banasura. Diti also had a daughter named Simhika who was married to a Danava, demon, named Viprachiti. Their offspring were terrible demons like Vatapi, Namuchi, Ilvala, Maricha, and the Nivatakavachas. The 100 sons of Danu came to be known as Danavas. The Danavas were thus cousins to the Daityas and also to the Adityas. In the Danava line were born demons like the Pulomas and Kalakeyas. Arishta's sons were the Gandharvas, singers of heaven. Surasa gave birth to the snakes, Sarpa. Kasa's children were the Yakshas, demigods who were the companions of Kubera, the god of wealth, and the Rakshasas, demons. Surabi's descendants were cows and buffaloes. Vinata had 2 sons named Aruna and Garuda. Garuda became the king of the birds. Tamra had 6 daughters. From these daughters were born owls, eagles, vultures, crows, waterfowl, horses, camels, and donkeys. Krodavasha had 14,000 children known as Nagas, snakes. Ela gave birth to trees, creepers, shrubs, and bushes. Kadru's sons were also known as Nagas, or snakes. Among the more important of Kadru's sons were Ananta, Vasuki, Takshaka, and Nahusha. Muni gave birth to the Apsaras, dancers of heaven. Diti's children, Daityas, and Aditi's children, Adityas, continually fought amongst themselves. On one particular occasion, the gods succeeded in killing many of the demons. Thirsting for revenge, Diti began to pray to her husband Kashyapa that she might be given birth to a son who would kill Indra, the king of the gods. Kashyapa found it difficult to refuse his wife outright. "All right," he said, "you have to bear the son in your womb for 100 years. And throughout this period, you will have to follow the instructions of religion most carefully. If you do this, you will indeed kill Indra. But if you do not observe these instructions to the letter, your desire will not be satisfied." Diti resolved to do as her husband had bidden her. But Indra had got to know about Diti's resolve and was waiting for an opportunity to save himself. There was an occasion when, tired after her prayers, Diti went to sleep without first washing her feet. This was an unclean act, and it gave Indra the required opportunity. He adopted a minuscule form and entered Diti's womb. With his weapon Vajra, he sliced up the baby inside the womb into 7 parts. The baby naturally began to cry at the pain. Indra kept on saying, Maruda, that is, don't cry. But the baby, or rather its 7 parts, would not listen. Indra thereupon sliced up each of the 7 parts into 7 more sections, so that there were 49 sections in all. When these 49 sections were born, they came to be known as the Maruds, from the words that Indra had addressed them. Since Diti had not been able to adhere to the conditions her husband had set, the Maruds did not kill Indra. They instead became Indra's followers or companions and were treated as gods. Final pause for reflection.